This is Willpower.
I'm sitting here with BC Serna right after a little full day of conferencing and getting to see you speak. Thank you so much for being on the Willpower podcast and sitting in conversation with me.
Yes, I'm so stoked. I love discovering you this past couple of weeks and what you're up to, what you're doing, your mission, your movement, and honored to be here. Timing worked out perfectly.
Yeah. I was like, I'm making this happen.
Yeah.
And then just the beauty, I want to speak out loud to honor the beauty of, it's really nice to be able to like connect with your family too and be like, hey, come bring the kids to the pool here, because I think this is the stuff of life, right? It's like the realness of connection that we all have and getting to see each other and the people that we surround ourselves with, like a little outside of the mask of the world that makes us put it on, you know? So
That's the dream.
yeah, it's super rad. Today you talked a lot. I just want to like enliven the conversation. It's like today you got up and spoke and gave such a moving presentation and helped us all connect, and all of these pieces where you're like connection, community, reflection within each other. And I really want to get a sense of the notion where that started in your body or in your life, just in your younger years. Like talking a little bit about your backstory, which I know is deep.
Yeah.
But there's so much ability for you to, I want to say at a young age, what makes me sound like I'm 80, but there's so much connection in you already to like spirit and to other humans. And I wonder if that feels like slowly learned, or did you always have like a source of that in you?
I think I've always had it, but it never fit into the box I was given for school. I was never good in sports or academics really. So I felt like I missed a meeting somewhere. Like I had brain surgery when I was 11 because I had a blood clot in my brain from a football injury. So I missed like a month or two of school, and the rest of my life after that, I was so behind in school and kind of everything, because I obviously I had a scar on the side of my head too, so I was like bullied and stuff for that. But I feel like I just missed a meeting. I was like, why don't I fit in? And I started school really young, so I was like a age below my grade.
Yeah.
So my whole entire life, I just felt like I was behind in everything. And so when I started to learn about spirituality and God and purpose and passion for the first time in my life, I was like, oh wow, this kind of resonates with me. Like they never taught any of this in school. And so when I kind of tasted that experience, that fruit, I just kind of lived it. I just was done with every other fruit. You know, I was kind of like, this is the only fruit I ever want to taste the rest of my life, was purpose.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah. It really like continues to evolve and evolve. And is it, you know, there's a sense of, when I spoke to you on the phone, I don't know, a week ago or what have you, there was a sense of, I've been doing this for a long time, Kristin, in a way that felt like, you know, we see people on the rise, and you bringing this much mindset to the world and a level of mastery that you do. It's been a minute, right? Like you've been on the path for a long time, and I think people are really just honoring the fact that it's so nice to see good people rise. And also you've been doing this for quite some time. So just speaking about like you were working as a youth pastor for a while, and then like going into the world of video, and how did that sort of like, you connected the pieces in a very intentional way, or do you feel like they started to fall in together?
I was so lucky that because this was my second chance at life, like I was 19 years old, I knew I was already doing bad in college, so I dropped out of college and I got a chance to do a study abroad program. I got a full ride scholarship. And then I got a job with them afterwards. And I was 19, I got paid to travel the world, to take college students around the world. It was a nonprofit, so I didn't get paid a lot. But that moment that someone gave me a chance to work for the study abroad program, and I wasn't qualified at all. Everyone who applied above me who had like college degrees, they were like really qualified. And I remember the guy who gave me a chance changed my life. And when he offered me that job, I knew at that moment I could not ever fail. And I had to be grateful for everything. So I vibrated at a frequency of gratitude for the last 16 years, that my life, 16 years, I've never had a job, I've never had a boss, I've never filled out a resume. I only, I guess like say like work for God, I guess in a weird sense. And I'm not that religious of a person, but I was 19 years old and I just got the second chance at life of like, you got a job traveling the world doing this amazing thing. You didn't deserve it, because I just didn't fit in the role that I was supposed to be hired for. So yeah, I think since then, every year of my life is exponentially on better, and I just always had a posture of who can I help wherever I'm at. So whether I was traveling the world, building schools or hospitals in parts of Africa, or I moved back into my parents' basement at 22 so I can go work with high school kids in America, I just was grateful, and I just kind of was like, how can I just be useful? And every time I was in a position of just being used to help anyone, it kind of just gave me this freedom of, there was no like, I had no one to compare to, I had no one to compete with, and I just wanted to help people. And so I picked up a video camera, I taught myself how to do video, and then that brought me all around the world doing humanitarian filmmaking, and then worked a lot with high school kids. So it's just been like an adventure of 16 years, but at the same time, I feel like I'm just getting started and I'm only getting younger. And I mean, you can relate to that, right? Where it's like, it's this, life is a marathon. And if we learn to tap into these certain perspectives, we're only getting younger and we're only getting more excited and almost like more student-like, where it's like, man, I still don't know so much, you know? And so, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the older I get, the more that I'm like, I don't really know shit.
Nothing. Yeah.
I'm like, I know what I believe. I know, oh no, actually, there's that other thing that just came into my frame that's totally disconfirming everything else I believe.
Well, I tell everyone, I'm like, go volunteer at retirement homes. Like, go to hospices, go to retirement homes, spend as much time as you can. And these people will give you more codes than any book, than any podcast, than any coach, because they will literally transcend to you the importance of this life in the like opposite spectrum of what we want, you know? And so they're just like goofy and laughing and confident. They're just like, hey, if you care what people think about you, you better stop that as soon as possible. Like these older 90-year-olds.
Yeah.
And you just ask them what they wish they did different, or what they wish someone told them when they were 30 or 40 or whatever it is. And you're just getting so much wisdom. And we live in a world where we just Google everything instead of search for wisdom.
Yeah.
And we don't value wisdom in the elders and like the people who,
like how it used to be. Like it was like the wise people of the tribe, the elders, just translating all the codes down.
Yeah, it's just like getting started every day, you know?
Yeah. And so you talk about gratitude and all of these beautiful, miraculous things that continue to unfold for you. And I also know that there's some things that have gone on in your life, like we all have, that have been a bit more tragic or challenging, or like opening you to a totally different perspective. And I don't know if you want to speak a little bit about, you know, I read when I like look up when I'm Googling about you living in a car, about your everything that went on with your father, and just I'd love for you to speak a little bit to, you asked this question today, like what are the toughest moments of your life? And I was like, could answer it for myself, of course, and really wondered like what were some of the tougher moments of your life that helped define where you are now?
Yeah, the big question for a lot of us so often is, what's my purpose? Like, what is this purpose? Why am I here? And why is this human experience so hard? And does everything I've ever been through that was so hard have a reason to it? Like, does it have this color where it was dark and black and white? And so as so many people struggle with this purpose, because purpose is the only thing that keeps us grounded in the human experience that's sustainable. Otherwise, we're going to try to be, you know, distracted and numb. And so when you look at that question, a good point of reference is, what was the hardest part of your life? And if you sit there and go, oh, it was my divorce, it was my childhood, it was my high school years, it was my 20s, and you just, whatever, it was losing my dad, it was whatever, just find that. And then if you thread your hardest part of your life into, are there people that are also going through that exact same thing? Simplify it. Like, don't overcome, my purpose is to awaken the world. You know, it's like, no. Like, simplify this. And I know the coaching space, we all have this really big heart in a sense to coach people, but mentorship is like, that's the milk and honey of like, yo, just be a humble mentor before you become a, you know, external big coach. Like, just humble yourself and go find certain people that you want to like take under your wing, and you could maybe exchange money if you want, but I think there's something more abundant to just be like, I'm going to help that 25-year-old version of me that I wish I had a mentor. Like, I wish someone told me at 25 about X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
I wish someone helped me navigate my breakup. You know, I wish, and just like, if you can become that, I think naturally you'll become a coach, but it won't be forced or like, I never really called myself a coach for 11 years, I was a mentor for thousands of high school and college students.
Yeah.
And the coaching thing kind of came natural after that, but it was because I worked with high school kids, and parents started hiring me because parents were like, we can't understand our high school kid. Can you coach us on how to, and then I was like, whoa, it's not because you can't understand your high school kid, it's because you can't understand yourself.
Yeah.
And so then I started pointing parents towards their own healing of their inner child, and then that made them a better parent. Instead of trying to figure out their high schooler, they needed to figure out what their triggers were.
Yeah.
and where their control was on their kid, because their kid should be free. Their kid should be liberated from their parents' pressure, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, so it's kind of just been this interweb of younger people, older people, and then all of it in between. And then I'd get phone calls from like Fortune 500 level CEOs, like really high level CEOs that their high school kids were part of my programs, and then they would ask me questions about certain things. It's been a long journey, I guess.
Yeah. But so intensely beautiful
Yeah.
and opening. And I think there's this notion like, I mean, it's a twofold thing, but this notion of like, it's happening, not happening to you, it's happening for you. Like, I think, especially in the last like year or so of my life, people saying that to me, and I'm like, I'm gonna punch you in the face, just because we get it. And
I
also there's like
know.
development in that, right? There's like a segment of that feels like it is happening for you. But when someone comes to you with like, and they're sharing some of the challenges that they're facing, like what that's not gonna quite cut it, right? Oh, this is happening for you. So it's like, where do you start with some of that? Just to like speak briefly to it, like inner child work or the questions that you will ask, or like, how do you begin that probing?
Yeah, it's happening for you, or everything happens for a reason, is a very lazy response to anyone going through actually something. That does not help. It's someone trying to deflect the maturity to just sit in the pain and listen. Jesus is like my hero, and his two greatest qualities is asking questions and listening. And if you're a really wise mentor or coach, you know that if you can just be really good at listening to what someone's saying below what they're saying, and really good at asking questions after you listen, they'll find the solution themselves. All you have to do is just be really good at holding that space. And sometimes you don't even have to ask anything. So someone's processing or venting or grieving, and you can just sit there with them. And if you're really mature, you know down in your intuition, you don't need to say much. And through this maturing process of becoming a really wise elder or coach or mentor, you could feel the patience someone has to not fix your problem, to not fix your emotions, to not like direct your emotions somewhere else, to like everything happens for a reason, but to just hold that space in like the sanctuary of what it is.
Yeah.
And it's an art form. But if you go to retirement homes, you go anywhere, you see elders in those spaces. That's how they do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. People don't need answers as much as they just need to be seen and heard. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that deeply. Yeah, that's like listening skill and asking good questions for sure. The
yes.
thing that's also so interesting to me that I have been like discovering these little sparkles of you as I'm getting to know you is that you have this deep reverence for, I want to say Christianity, but correct me if it's like Christianity and spirituality, and also the translation of that in a room today of people with lots of different faiths and being able to speak comfortably, right? Because everyone's always like, what's the translation of God in my mind, right? Is it the universe? Is it something specific?
Yeah.
But like you have that, and then there's this piece, and you spoke a little bit to like not always fitting in or being like, did I miss the class on what happens next? But like there's this other piece of you that's like sitting in a very psychedelic friendly conference that's like talking about plant medicine, and then talking about, you have a very deep, I would say a deep understanding, or you deeply share on social about this navigating the masculine and the feminine, the relationships and holding space. And like, of course, there's all these things in the world where people are expressing their sexuality and how they show up in gender in all different ways. And so I would love for you to expound on just how it feels with that triumvirate of the mix of that, this like spiritual piece, this like plant medicine. I'm open to the possibility of like other dimensions existing, and how we like download the codes, and then connecting this like masculine and feminine. I know it's a lot in one question,
No, that's
but
great.
I just feel like it's like there's a trinity there. Let's like vibe with it.
Yeah, I'm as someone who has spoken or said, worked with a lot of people, I started to learn the maturity of listening better and asking questions, knowing that I can either have someone be inspired by me and get closer to maybe thinking I'm cool, or I can get them closer to God so they can be self-sufficient on their own. Mm-hmm. And so after doing this for so long, and learning that sometimes when the eyes are on me and what does BC want to say, or who do I think I am, I'm like, man, I guarantee God has way cooler things to say to them than me. And so what I try my best to do is dissolve what I think I should say on stage, or what I think I should say in coaching, or what I think I should say online, into like, oh my God, what would you say? Like if you could, whatever God is to someone, if it's love, if it's source, if it's energy, I'm guessing it's love and source. But like if God could completely just empty my thoughts and my mind and my own desires to be acknowledged or received, is this God speaking or is this my ego speaking? And if it's BC speaking, it's probably trying to make you affirm me. If it's God speaking, it's probably trying to make you affirm yourself and get you closer to loving yourself and God instead of loving or liking me. And this is the dance, it's a juggle, but yeah, we are this trinity of emotional, trauma. We're traumatized, we're run by emotions, but we're also run by our thoughts and consciousness. And then there's a spiritual realm as well. And right now I personally believe we're going through the greatest mass awakening in human history with AI, with technology, with political stuff, with wars. And right now there's a frequency happening within the collective. It's almost like a vibration that is so dissonance, like it's so out of key that it's awakening so many people on a mass scale from their slumber. And so a lot of people are just kind of, sports and celebrities and, they're in the game, they're in the matrix, as some call it. But this dissonance is so intense that's going on with social media and this uprising and this awakening that everyone's starting to like look up from their slumber and go, whoa, like I wasn't ready to wake up, but I'm waking up.
Yeah.
And so in that doing so with plant medicines and God and spirituality, all these different things, we got to start to like kind of figure out where our soul is going to be anchored to and tethered to. And so, that's kind of a deeper, I guess, philosophical question, but yeah, there's this mass awakening happening. And as people wake up from their slumber and start to look around, they're like, basically when you wake up, when you put the glasses on, everything's upside down.
Yeah.
What you thought was good was bad, what you thought was light was dark. And so you're waking up being like, whoa, I don't know what is real. I don't know if my politicians were lying to me, was my society, were my parents lying to me, or these religious people lying to me. And so we start to question it all. And then we, find plant medicines. We find God in different ways. We find community, hopefully.
Yeah.
And then we just learn to do the dance with everyone, where there is no figuring our way out through this life. And we don't use our mind to figure this life out. We use our body, our emotions, our joy, and our gratitude that we're here. We're chosen as a time to be in human bodies right now.
Yeah, this is like a really good message. I think this is like, stop trying to, it's like, we want everything to be figure outable, but that isn't quite
it. Yeah.
Isn't quite.
We crave or figure out our relationships, our love life. We crave to figure out our passion, our purpose, and God kind of laughs in that. And it's like, yo, you can make plans all you want. You can force things all you want, but there's a feminine, masculine flow within the water and the fire. And we know when our body is too much fire, and we know when our body is too much water. Mm-hmm. And we know when our body is exhausted from playing the character that we're trying to play. And we know when our soul finds someone that actually feels seen beyond the character. And so, I'm always thinking, like, what's the purpose of, like, my wife or my kids? I was thinking this other day, I was like, what's the purpose of my kids? Like, what's the purpose of children? And as I sat and meditated and prayed in that, I was like, the purpose of my kids is to teach me how to love you better, love everyone better. Yeah. That's because before my wife, my love can only go so deep. And then my wife got me, I was like, oh, cool, love can go deeper, I can love it. And then my kids taught me deeper love, and the whole purpose of that is I could see everyone as my kids. And what if I thought everyone was my child? And I can learn how emotions and triggers and traumas work within my kids, and I can just relay that into everyone. Like that's the goal, right? The goal with plant medicine and the goal with healing is to look at everyone through the lens as they're just a little kid.
Yeah.
And a divine soul.
Yeah. Yeah,
and so,
it's really resonant today when you spoke about like, hey, close your eyes and let's just imagine everyone in this room is like kids on the playground.
Yeah.
And I was like, how much could we like release our shoulders and exhale and just be like in humanness? Because when you really picture that, like, it's like even just seeing your kids and how it's like, it's like the level of care about what all the intricacies are of life is it's just disappeared. It's just like presence in the moment and really feeling that. And I think, kids are on the slides and the swings and the things, and someone falls off and they just like cry really loud, and then people are like, are you okay? And some people don't care, and but everyone's navigating. And I think, like, if we want to talk about it in official terms, like the refractory period of emotional processing is so much more quickly happening because kids are like going through it and then they're passing through it. It's almost, we talk all the time in this industry, like coaching and healing about, well, the gazelle gets chased and they go off and they shake and yes, to all of that. And also, I think the emoting loudly and moving through it, the way that children do it, it's like if everyone came back to the playground in that way. I'm not necessarily saying like in the middle of your 5 o'clock business meeting, that you're like, I want a raise or something, but there's something to that. There's something to getting back to that.
Yeah, the goal at the end of the day is to wipe the lens on how we see people, and how we see everyone is, and we've given this lens. And so what plant medicines do, what trauma healing does, is it helps like give a new perspective to people that we've given stories to. We've given a lot of stories to our parents. We've given a lot of stories to our siblings. We've given a lot of stories to God. We've given a lot of stories to ourselves. Mm-hmm. And as we heal, as we try plant medicines or God or spirituality, we start to feel this wave of grace come over us, this wave of like forgiveness, this wave of like peace, knowing that we're all trying to figure it out. Mm-hmm. And if we can have grace for everyone and forgiveness for everyone and for ourselves, then we have this like soft, fluid way that we move through the world that is, we become hopefully a reservoir. So when someone is in their human experience, really struggling with their human experience, whatever it might be, they can come to these people that feel like they're embodied, and you feel like you catch your breath. Mm-hmm. And you feel like your soul comes up for air and like can breathe and go, okay, this human thing's crazy. I could say, I thank you for holding the space. Thank you for seeing me in this. And then, we go back into the 3-dimensional. There is money money is a real thing. Romance is a real thing. Society is a real thing. But we're not trying to escape it. A lot of spiritual people are trying to escape it. We need to engage it. Mm-hmm. And so once you find spirituality or God or plant medicines, you almost are like, I'm not part of society anymore. I'm gonna go get land and disappear. And then we're like on land and we're disappeared and we're like, okay, this is kind of like where we came from. Like we came from heaven and we're pretty bored there. That's why we wanted to be humans. And then you mature and you go, I want to go engage. Like I want to butt heads with culture. I want to like find the discomfort in political conversations or color skin conversations or whatever it is. And that is where you rebirth. Like that's your true rebirth of, I'm not going to run away from culture. I'm going to engage in it.
Yeah.
And that's what, it's like partaking in the video game.
Yeah, and like taking in all the widest, most vast differences you possibly can.
Yeah, challenge everything you believe, everything you think, just challenge it and plant these seeds of like, wait, am I the crazy one? Am I the wrong one? And just have fun with it. And then listen and just be open-minded and know that everyone has their personal experience on the lens they have. So they're not wrong for believing that. You just need to explore and be curious on why they believe it. And when you find out why they voted a certain way or why they believe a certain God, you fall in love with them. And below all of the anger we have is just sadness. And then below the sadness is love. And so every single time we find the anger, we're like, wait, why are they angry? Why am I angry at them? Oh, I'm angry at them because I'm sad for something. I'm sad because I love them. And we get to the core every single time, right?
Yeah. So cool.
Yeah.
One of the things that you talk a lot about on IG, online, that I really, I think consistently engages me with you and re-engages me with you and anchors me back to you is this sort of conversation around the masculine and the feminine. And I think it's interesting to watch you do the dance between those things. I think also because you show up very authentically and saying, this is where I'm at. And it's also something about the end of some of your posts where you're just like, what do you think?
Yeah.
You're like, which is very like, I don't know, I might be wrong. What do you think? Like, screw me if I don't know. I'm ready to listen, which is beautiful. But you have a strong stance on the dance of masculine and feminine. I think I'm imagining it really shows up in your relationship. I think of like reels that you've pushed about, my wife and I tell each other when we have a little crush on someone else, like we're not acting on it, but we're sharing that. And I think there's so much validity in that, and really talking as well about like the female energy or feminine, divine feminine energy, goddess energy, whatever you want to call it, how you can structure yourself in your more masculine side of your being to be able to like hold more space and safety for that, to like be able to be the anchor in the like waves of the storm that, and I mean this in the most beautiful way. It's just like me with the nickname Hurricane from my dad when I was little, just being like, I want to be able to embrace the ability for me to have some chaos in my femininity, which is something I'm still digging up all the time, because I grew through corporate America in a very masculinized world. That's just my story, but you have like, you continue to cultivate this balance in these posts that you're sharing that I think are both teaching, I'd like to hope, teaching males how to hold space in that way, or let's just say masculine energy, however that shows up. And then not letting everyone forget that there's feminine energy too in the mix. So that yin and yang, I want you to unpack that a little bit, because you have really strong viewpoints on that. And I think this is what the audience wants to hear more of from you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I think, sometimes people go, oh, BC, it's not about masculine and feminine. We're all everything's energy. But I think in human form, we need to understand how fire and water work, how the sun and the moon work, how light and darkness work. And so the polarity is so important. But, I believe the core wound of every man is shame, and the core wound of every woman is abandonment. And if you start to follow the strings of where those kind of core things come from, in the masculine, like, yes, we're spiritual beings, yes, we're smart, yes, we're emotional, but we need to start to hold space for everything that is true for us. We are terrified of honesty. I shamed my sexuality for so long. I suppressed it. I shamed, religious trauma.
Was that like a religious upbringing thing?
Yeah, religious, but even cultural, even cultural talking about this kind of stuff. So God, sex, and money, like those three things have this weird dogma conversation of energy. Like, don't talk about sex, don't talk about money, don't talk about God. It's weird. And the more we suppress something, the more we shame it, the more we avoid it, it just blows up in other ways. That's the only reason people cheat, is because there was something sexually, or there wasn't something, they didn't feel safe to be honest. Somewhere along our way in our childhood, we tried out honesty. We were always honest. And then we tried it out when it probably wasn't the best place to try it out. And we got yelled at or judged, or, we were like, oh crap, being honest hurts people, or being honest gets me in trouble. And so we're like, I'm gonna throw that Uno card out. And so we stopped being honest. And then we stopped being honest with ourselves. Cause then we're like, wait, if I can't express my truth to this person, then I should, maybe I'm the one that's lying. And then we abandon ourselves. And anytime we've ever been in a relationship where we fear abandonment, it's because we've abandoned ourselves. And so we don't trust them because we don't trust ourselves. And so within every single one of us, there is a little hurting child that we have to put in a room. Like, if our heart is a home, we put them in a room and go, hey, 5-year-old BC, like, I'm gonna go figure out what I gotta do to make you feel safe, because you don't feel safe anymore. I'm gonna get money, muscles, women, sex. I'm gonna go get all this stuff. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna prove to you you're gonna be safe. Get money, muscles, women, sex, all that stuff, success, fame, all that. And this little boy still just shaking in his little boots, just being like, it doesn't make me feel safe. Like, I still feel like I'm not honest. And then we finally are honest. And then we feel exposed and vulnerable and naked. And then we are still received in that, and yeah. But honesty that's it. The only way through this life, the only way through this portal is to be extremely honest in everything. And so one of the videos I made recently that went kind of viral and triggered a lot of people was when my wife has a crush on someone, she tells me when I have a crush on someone. And it's this cosmic joke of like not living in this cultural suppression of just like, were you checking out that girl over there? Or like, did you text someone, or did you comment on this girl's video? This weird walking on eggshells with someone we love, where it's like, where did that even come from? And it all came from jealousy, insecurity, dishonesty. And then that leads in control and festers in pain and manipulation. And
And you're like, a lot of people got triggered by that. And I think that,
tons of people got triggered.
Of course, I can't even imagine. I'm sure there's various things that people, if you talk about the masculine, and then you're going to have the whole crew of people being like, don't go that direction. And so it's really beautiful to also see you like encapsulate it all in like water and fire and sun and moon. All those things are excellent. And also that I can't imagine a relationship in the past of, I was with a guy for 10 years where we really did have those conversations. And I credit the fact that he's one of my closest friends and like family now, even though he's married and we're not together. We still speak all the time. We're still hyper connected because our communication throughout the entire relationship was like, even in the times where structure and so the societal framework of what you would say or don't say was like at play, we still had those conversations. Even if there were like moments of like, oh, I feel like that was a little jealous of the way that you were looking at that person, or just, but
you said it, you spoke it. Oh my God.
And then you say it, and then there's the reflection of the other person, and it's almost a way to like learn your partner better, right? And again, it's like, I'm sure there are plenty of people acting on it or in open relationships, or there's 100 different ways to slice it. But just even in a monogamous relationship, I think it actually makes the relationship richer because you're not hiding or like holding back.
You're best friends, right? So like what the same thing, you'd be like, man, that girl is so attractive. Like whatever that truth is for you, even if it's not supposed to be shallow that finding someone's attractive, but playful maybe and fun, but it's like, it's just natural. And to embrace the human experience, to not be, everyone's like BC's against monogamy, all these coaches, whatever people are saying, it's hilarious. It's like a 2-minute video. And the whole goal is to plant seeds, to trigger people to find out where it was. And most of the people that were triggered by that video, I would say you could tell what their response was is that they just struggle with jealousy.
Yeah.
And they were really upset that I was like, jealousy is not a healthy thing. And
right, but if we're speaking also in like potentially like the world of straight people in some way, and you were like, Johnny's your friend, and you're like, he's actually like a really hot looking guy, and you said that to Issa, you said that to your wife, then it's probably not going to be anything weird.
Yeah.
So it's just like talking about another human.
Yeah. And just always bringing it back to ourselves and bringing it back to where do we feel like we're not honest or struggle with jealousy or insecurity or doubt. And then how can we be liberated from that so we're confident? And so much so, the goal is, as much as I love Issa, my wife, she's not mine. And if there comes an evolution in our own expansion of this human experience, she finds another lover in a weird, I don't know how, I don't know what that would look like. I need to be so sovereign and okay, not that it wouldn't maybe be sad in certain aspects, but if I want the best for her and I want her to fully live out her human experience, and this is gonna trigger a lot of people because people are like, no, till death do us part, monogamy, like, what, 100, that's cool, people think that, but I think we need to also learn to die to like, that is my person. And if they have any other feelings or outgrow me maybe, like I always ask people, like if let's say you're a Christian Republican when you marry, 5 years down the road, your wife is now a Democrat, not atheist. Like, okay, like you still got to ask those questions. Like we are ever expanding, culturally changing, learning new things about ourselves, learning new things about God, learning new things about religion. So therefore we can't confine our partner into this box of like, no, when I married you, you were a Christian Republican and you're going to stay that way forever. Yeah. And so it's just like, we get so caught up in trying to control the narrative, trying to control our parents, our siblings, our lovers, our friends. And yet we just cut ourselves every single time and it blows up completely opposite.
Yeah.
And so all of it is pointing us to ourselves. It's all pointing us back to, what is this here to teach me? And why, and it's unconditional love at the end of the day, right?
Yeah. I'd like to believe that. Yeah. And a lot of, I navigate a lot of relationships in my life in a way that I am proud of my courage for. And also sometimes my friends being like, why are you doing that? It doesn't feel like it would cultivate something in your life that's like beneficial, because I think if we're connected to human beings that have helped us grow, then there's some place and space perhaps for them in our life, even as we are both expanding and, as we all are expanding, and quite often like you put in opposite directions, right? That happens. But if there's like at the root of it all, if there's a love and a connection on everybody's part, then it's like, how do we continue to expand those relationships and running into that clunkiness, right? That like, I just was having a conversation with someone that's like, the clunkiness of the creation of it all and the evolution of it all is like, what if that were the adventure? Like, it's kind of hard to think in that direction because like you were speaking about earlier, it's like jealousy comes up and things happen, and that's really okay, how can I know that that's my attempt at controlling someone else? So how can I just not, it's hard to be like, don't be jealous or don't be angry or don't be sad or don't be in pain about something, but there's so much, I think there's so much like breadth and change and opening that we can have as humans if we just like dare to go there. And I'm not saying like in a dangerous way, if like somebody's like, whatever, somebody's being beaten, like don't go try to be like, work that out. But within the confines of safety, we're running in the opposite direction. I think too soon, with people and friends and across the aisle in politics or whatever, you want to talk about. One moment, everyone's like, I love Elon. The next moment, everyone's like, I hate Elon. Yeah. Instead of learning.
Well, I try to bring everything back to spirituality. So when I see political unrest, when I see things in Gaza, when I see things that really break my humanity heart, and I cry and I grieve and I yell at God or I question God, I'm like, all right, God, what's the spiritual significance of this? What is this on a collective level supposed to be doing for us? And some of the conversations I have with God are crazy from that standpoint, but always trying to bring it back to, for me personally, everything's spiritual, everything's sacred, everything's God, so whether it's a hurricane, whatever it is, I'm always trying to dive into the, get above it all and get above the human emotions I'm having, which I could still grieve and have sadness and heartbreak, but can I help find the silver lining within it all, and the medicine within it all, and just continue to, dance with it.
Yeah, dance with it. Exactly.
Yeah.
What about all of your travels around the world changed you as a human being? Like seeing more suppression, seeing more.
I lived with over 200 host families in over 80 countries, and I worked on the front lines of wars and famines, and I've seen human trafficking children. Like, I've seen some crazy stuff, and had to, wrestle with God and all of this of like, God, there's no way you're real when I'm seeing 6-year-old trafficked kids in the Philippines, all this stuff. And so you go into these spaces of your own universe, your own relationship with God, your own entity of like, okay, how and what and why. So it really just, everything mirrors back inside. And then looking up and going, okay, what can I do right now with what I have and who I am? And can I surrender the rest to God? Of like, can I just be a friend to this person at a coffee shop, or can I go help build a school? Whatever it is, purpose is something that we embody within the way we are presented as we just are ourselves. And so we can't save everyone. We're not supposed to play God. We're not supposed to be on social media trying to see all the famine in Congo and wars and all that stuff. But we're really supposed to go, okay, what can I do with what I have? And then find out what our greatest fear in all of it. Like I was saying, like the next step that we need to take in our life is we need to find out what scares us most. And if we backtrace every single fear that we have with a string, we're going to find out that it's tied to some sort of lie that we've been told in our life. And if we can find out, okay, what's my greatest fear? Let me find out what lie it's told to. And then
Do you think it's a lie we could be telling ourselves as well?
Totally.
Yeah.
But even like, so I meditate, and it's going to sound kind of dark when I say this, but I've meditated on losing my kids and my wife. And that sounds like a really intense thing because people go, oh, I couldn't even imagine that. But I need to know where my body and my mind go. Like when my dad died, it was so quick, and all of a sudden I never got to say bye. I never got to like anything. I never got to say sorry. And so it ruptured my whole reality. So then I started sitting and being like, man, what if my mom died? And I get sad, and I go through that whole process, getting that phone call, going to her funeral. And then on the end of that portal of that pain is amazing amount of gratitude and appreciation and love for my mom, regardless if we've solved all of our traumas and problems. Same with my sister. And then same with my kids and my wife. If I can sit there in the discomfort of my greatest fear, or speaking on stage, whatever it is, if you can find everything that scares you the most, your mom dying, your dog dying, whatever it is, follow that thread, and in that knot of entanglement within your body and your soul, you're gonna find a lot of freedom. You're gonna find a lot of like, wow, I was so intense and so scared to be seen on stage. I was so scared to forgive my mom. I was so scared to forgive my lover, whatever it was, that I never actually lived with this open posture and heart. And I lived in constraint and fear. And the whole goal is to just live with this open posture of purpose is everywhere, whether the gas station you're at, the coffee shop you're at, the grocery store you're at, doing the dishes for your mom has purpose in it. And then you start to become a vessel instead of a receiver of everything.
Yeah, and when you're sitting with things like, for example, your mom and contemplating what it'd be like if she passed, is that a catalyst for you to take action sometimes, where you're just like,
boom,
wanted to call you, Mom, and say, that thing that happened when I was like 7, that was so awesome, that surprise birthday party, like to get that out there, to be able to share it more.
Yeah, and then that changes her life, it changes your life, it releases some sort of dharma you have within your energy system, and then maybe you feel inspired to actually start your podcast because you're like, wait, my mom's still alive? My mom sacrificed so much of my life. I should stop being so small and like, so I care about what everyone else thinks. But like, if I started a podcast and it inspired people, that would make my mom feel really proud of me. And like, maybe like, so it helps move all of this energy of these doubts and fears that we have. My number one goal at the end of the day is I want people to feel confident. I want them to feel confident in their expression, in their voice, in their relationship to God. And the word confidence, like where it's rooted from, is trust. It means we trust ourselves. It means we trust God. It means we trust that if I'm handed a microphone in a stage, it's not about, it's like God gave you that microphone on stage, you better just trust that you're given it. And so I think like, I want people to live with this abundance of confidence that their story and their voice and their heart and whatever they're passionate about, their throat chakra feels completely unlocked, and it's just their truth is the water that they weave it all with.
Yeah.
That's the hope. That's my prayer, the biggest thing.
But I think it's your work in the world.
Yeah.
You know? And I wonder if you do so much stuff for like charitable things online, helping people get more followers, building businesses saying, hey, they just built this tiny home. Someone you like posted about recently that was like just the most adorable. They're like, our first tiny home is done, and like cheering people on in this container. And I think, what about, there have to be times that people are coming to you, or even people that are close to you that are going through it in such like the dark night of the soul. And anyone who's listening to this who's like, hey, BC, this is all awesome. I want to be confident. I want to come out to the light. I want to release my throat chakra. Like, what are your strongest, couple of points to speak to directly to those people who are feeling like, but I can't figure out how to get out of the hole?
Oh, that's a beautiful question. Yeah, it's the best part of all the movies we watch, the TV shows, it's the hero's journey, right? Where Luke Skywalker's parents died, Batman's parents died, these traumatic moments happen that rupture our entire reality. The breakup, the car crash, the bankruptcy, the job loss, the parent, dying. That shift is to awaken us in a way that feels like we're married to our parents. We're married to this job. We're married to the status of this finances I had. We're married to, all these things. And then when that happens, it sobers us up, and our parents die, or a car accident, or we lose our job, or that person we thought we were going to marry the rest of our life leaves us, cheats on us. It's this sobering moment where our soul comes on ignition and lights up, and it goes, okay, there's things that are fickle in this world, and you need to start figuring out what's going to anchor you, which I think it's purpose. And you got to figure out what your purpose is. It's the only thing that'll turn down the anxiety, the depression, the sleepless nights. All of those things are on number 10 because you're thinking about yourself so much. And the moment you turn all of the thinking to yourself to like, wait, who can I help? Who can I call? Who can I bless? And I know it's counterintuitive because I'm like, what? I got to fill my cup first. I'm like, yo, what if what fills your cup is you helping someone else? Like, what if you're so focused on your cup that nothing's filling it up because you're so focused on it, that what if you actually calling your mom or grabbing coffee or buying that person coffee, whatever it is, what if that is actually going to start to stir the water to where you're like, wow, I was so focused on myself that depression, anxiety was self-induced. And the moment I started actually helping someone with their homework or whatever it is, you start to go, wow, this feels way better. And you start to actually find a little bit of movement in the tightness within your body.
Yeah, what a beautiful answer. It's like, thank you for sharing that, that clarity, because I think there is a notion of, I was like taking in as you were talking a question or so ago about how these acts of selflessness are the shift, right? And that there's in times in my life that I've been really stuck in states of depression or anxiety or whatever it might be, that the people who have come to me and said, what are you doing? You have people to go out and help heal. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? I'm stuck in the middle of all the throes of this. And this is like my hurdy poos are really like my important parts now. I have to get to the place where I'm on the other side of that first before I can go. And it's like, it's just, if you stay in that space, this is like exactly what you just said, but I feel it so deeply, like you stay in that space, you don't quite get out. And you don't get out. And it's not to shame people who are in the stuckness of that, because I feel like, especially now at this point in my life, I have even more compassion. I know things you've gone through, we have even more compassion for people who are going through it, but getting outside of that box and getting outside of that like purview to be able to say, okay, there's other things I have to do in this space or in my life or gaining purpose. Like for me, I was like, oh, I signed up for these like double certifications, and I was like, oh, I'm getting out of bed in a different way. I'm feeling differently.
And asking for help, asking for prayer. And the strongest leaders are the ones who ask for help, not the one who help everyone.
Yeah.
And so really learning how to like be, if for a fact, if your best friend was hurting and they didn't ask you for help, you would literally feel spit in the face. And so when you ask for someone to pray for you, when you ask for someone just to like, hey, I'm really struggling right now, that is the greatest strength of any leader, is someone who has the ability to do that. And it really shows the true integrity of someone, how much you can trust them.
Yeah.
And so when someone's like, man, I'm in a really tough time, I'm really struggling to navigating this breakup, I'm struggling navigating, whatever it is, like our passion connects us, but our pain bonds us. And so I could be passionate about photography and talk about photography all day, but then I'm like, yeah, my dad died when I was 23 from cancer, and someone's like, my dad died too. Like, that is the adhesive that connects us. So whatever your greatest pain is, that is the adhesive that we're all craving for. And we can talk about passion all day. We talk about positive stuff all day, but the depths, the darkness, our dark night of the soul, yeah, that's the valley. Like that's what, a lot of people are on the mountaintop shaking it, sharing about how they got to the mountaintop and flexing how much money they make and how much cars they have. And it's just like, okay, cool. But like, what's the real you? What's the ugly, messy you? What even fuels that? And if you look at the people who are so external, look at my car, look at my body, look at my money, look at my life, they're the ones who are most vacant within. They're the ones who abandon themselves the most because they're putting all of the energy into this. And I always say this, the difference between a man and a boy is a boy really cares about how his house looks like on the outside. He cares about the flowers, he cares about the size of the house. He does not care what's going on inside the house. His family, his friends, his real purpose. And a man cares so deeply about what's going on inside of the house, how his family's doing, how his lover's doing, how his friends are doing, how his community's doing, that he's like, yo, Dexter, see me however you want, judge me however you want the exterior of my house looks like, but man, the inside of my house, that's maturity.
Yeah.
And that's what of so many boys are becoming men right now that are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, because they're realizing that they've abandoned the inside of the house to care so much about what the outside looks like.
Yeah.
And so a lot of men right now that have a crazy amount of success, all of their wives are leaving them. And they have like a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old, and all the wives are like, see you later. And the guy is getting brought to his knees. It's his coming to God moment. I would say 80 to 90% of all the men I've ever coached and worked with, 90% of them started their healing journey when they lost a woman. So when a woman, she has so much grace, so much patience. She says, read this book, come to the seminar, go to therapy with me. And the man is like, yo, I already got you. Like, not in a mean way. He's like, I kind of already have you. Like, I don't think I need to read that book. Like, I have you already. I'm married to you. I have a kid with you. And sooner or later, when the feminine finally checks out, she's gone. And that moment he sees the woman he worked so hard his entire life to get finally walk away, he comes to his knees. He goes, God, I need help. I need something because I just lost the person I thought I was gonna spend the rest of my life with, because he couldn't read between the lines, right? Mm-hmm. And so many men are having their coming to God moments when the feminine are just like, yo, I'm here. I just need a little bit of space. And I get it. Men are working through a lot. They have a lot to hold, but the amount of men I work with, man, just crying, bawling their eyes. Even men that I know that are millionaires, successful, that are like, yo, my daughter's 15 and I worked so hard to give her everything she wants, but she doesn't want anything to do with me because I was never there for 15 years. And he's just like, what is going on? My whole reality is upside down because I worked so she can have everything, and now she wants nothing to do with me. And this confusion of, I gave my wife the house that she wanted, the car. It's like, dude, she didn't want that. Your daughter didn't want that. Your wife doesn't want the car and the house. That's great. That's a blessing when you do that. They just want your presence. They want the real, they don't even want the egoic you. Like, my wife doesn't care about BC Serna on stage, or my kids don't care if I have a microphone in front of hundreds of people. Like, they just want my same with my family. My mom doesn't care. My sister doesn't care. That's cool that I do that. But at the end of the day, our friends aren't impressed. And so the goal of a romantic relationship is to dissolve the ego. And that's why men struggle with commitment, is because they're so afraid to be exposed, because their whole identity is the character they've built. What's on the front of my business card? And that is this character. And when the wife, when you meet your queen and she's like, hey babe, I don't really give a shit if you have 1,000 followers or 100,000 followers or 100,000 money. Like, I'm trying to find the real you, because when the camera is off and the social media is gone and the stage is gone, we're in the same house together. And this is real. And if you can find excitement in doing the dishes for your wife, if you can find excitement in doing the mundane things and doing laundry, then you can find enlightenment and just go, oh wow, this is 80% of my life is not the sexy things.
Yeah.
If I can find joy in not the sexy things with someone that maybe isn't sexy all the time, then I can surrender to the rest of it,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the humility, it's the maturity.
Yeah.
And a lot of people struggle.
Are you coaching couples ever? Are you like coaching couples in the phrase and throes of it all? Are you like?
Oh, for sure, yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's, a lot of couples that are on their kind of way out. I've kind of helped couples come back together. It's hard, when they're on their way out, it's really hard to kind of reconvene. Sometimes couples are in the fire and they need some support, which is great. So that's always a good place to start, and couples try. Therapy has its space, but there's different modalities now. But yeah, that's our greatest teacher, is our love life. Yeah. It's the greatest mirror. It's our greatest insecurity. It's the most naked and raw we'll ever be. Yeah. And it's a mystery.
Yeah. It's a mystery.
It's a mystery.
There
is no, because they're on their healing journey, you're on yours, and so it doesn't co-align maybe the same season. and we take it personal. We take everything so personal, you know, but yeah, I always say it's a dance. That's like my thing. It's just learning. There is no end goal. There is no figuring it out. It's just, you gotta dance.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, when I was partnered with someone who I actually knew today. And when you asked the question of like, what's the hardest moment of your life? And we had our eyes closed, and I knew for the moment that my friend Vanessa would be, she already knows because I've known her. And
the person you had partnered with knew?
Yeah, like,
oh, wow.
because I had other new partners,
Yeah.
but then we just ended up together. They were like, you know, back to back or eyes closed or what have you. And you said, what's the hardest thing you've gone through? And I was like, oh, this is so funny. I don't even have to speak it because she just knows. Like, I'll open my eyes and I can be like, you can go because you already know my shit. And it was really beautiful because she shared hers. And then I said, there was like a pause, right? And of course, I'm like, because we had a little extra time. And so I said, well, you know, it's my grief right now, the grief I've been through that you've watched. And so I'm appreciate and grateful for you supporting that. And then it was like, she didn't say anything. She just like stayed with me. And this is what you're talking about when someone just holds that space for you. And I said, so I think actually the hardest moment in my life is not the grief. It's like this evolution of me.
Whoa.
Right? And there's this moment that we get to have with our own soul that's like, oh, that's what's really going on here, you know?
Whoa.
And so, like, what a beautiful opportunity to like spend time and get that reflection from the group and from you. That moment in my life would not have been cultivated today if it wasn't for like sitting and you having us all be so present as you spoke and shared and had us interact. And those are like, this is the little stuff of life. Like I talked about all the way in the beginning of the podcast, the little nitty gritty parts that make you go, okay, there's something else here. There's something else here. There's something else here. So
I love that.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, I think we are simultaneously a 5-year-old, you know, little version of ourselves that felt a certain relationship with our mom and dad and siblings. And then we are divine, angelic creatures. And in the mix of those two polarities, we need to learn that both are okay and both are real, and we don't have to marry one or the other. And yeah, and that like, it's all magic. There's no end goal. It's just like, is there something I can alchemize in what I'm going through? Or, you know, as we find our enlightenment, our goal is to enlighten the others, right? And we can't force the glasses on anyone.
I know, but I want to. Don't you want to? All the
oh my
time?
God,
Please,
yeah. Naturally, we try plant medicines, we find God, we find spiritual, and then we're like, God, I want everyone to put these glasses on, please. And you force your parents, and then you go, oh, I just need to embody it to a level that seems so radical that when my mom and sister see a transformation within me, they come, or anyone, even your lover, whoever is, comes with such curiosity that they're like, something's different about you. You know, like that's the goal. The goal, I always say like you can tell the further away, the more words someone has to use to explain God is usually the further away they are from God, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of religious people are trying to judge you and trying to force you into the Bible or whatever it is. And they're using all these words, which is the opposite of a magnet. They're pushing you further away. But when someone embodies this level of presence and love and kindness, generosity, whatever it is, it pulls you in, and they're not even using words to pull you in. And this is, I think, this evolution that we're going through of maturity is we're looking for people that just naturally pull us in without even trying. And it's because they're embodied and integrated.
So cool.
And even when people are shamans or people are coaches, it's very showy, it's very theatrical, you know, and when you find the real shamans, you go to certain parts of the world, you find real coaches, you know, you're just like, man, it's no theatrical about it. It's almost like this Gandalf energy, you know, like.
Yeah. It's like Gandalf, or it's like Miyagi or something.
Yeah. Miyagi, that's a great example.
Yeah.
I love that.
So beautiful. I'm so thankful that you spent this time with me today. I like to kind of close the show. I ask people a lot about the philosophy that they embody now around well-being and how they speak to their younger self. And I feel like you've covered a lot of that in the way that you're speaking and sharing with the audience. And I just want to kind of get a sense from you, with all the travel and being a father and, you know, a partner and like, you know, a mentor to so many people. Are there a couple of things that you do that are like the taking care of yourself? So you've mentioned meditation and things, but taking care of yourself, keeping your system primed, keeping yourself out of exhaustion to, you know, keep beating the drum in the way you do?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, balance is the hardest part of anyone's life. How do we balance it all, you know? I try to simplify my life. I really try to make is you know, small circle of friends, a huge purpose, like a huge net of how I do things. But I think for me, I mean, it's so tough not to come off religious, but like really getting close with God in a way that feels so intimate that you can approach every single day like a ceremony, every single day like a medicine journey, every single day like a holy experience, and just ask God to use you. And it makes my life so easy because I am not trying. Naturally, it's cool to have followers or, you know, virality or money or success, but like I feel like, you know, I had this one guy come to me who's really successful, famous, or you know, wealthy guy. And he's like, you know, talking about business ideas and money and this and this. And I was like, and this is what I felt like God told me. I was like, I can't promise you $1 million, but I can promise you I can get you closer to God. And if I get you closer to God, I can get you closer to your authenticity. And if I can get you closer to your authenticity, I can get you closer to $1 million. And so, you know, trying to get into that spiritual realm, trying to have access to this heavenly frequency that we are here to bring where we came from here, gives us this levity of not so much pressure on our purpose, not so much pressure on our family, our kids, and just really, how do we bring this legacy, this like harmony of heaven into this realm, this dimension, and
like being the vessel, just like it's having it come through you. Yeah.
I mean, I work out every day. I mean, I love working out. I love meditating. I love praying, but yeah, it's just praying. I pray a lot, I guess. Yeah.
Fair. I think that's great.
Yeah.
And I imagine those two kiddos keep you running around.
Oh my God, it's insane.
Incessantly.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
So beautiful. Will you just tell people where they can find you? Because I'm sure that they'll want to be, you know, they'll blow up your DMs, or they're going to come and be triggered, or they're going to come and tell you they love you. So where's the best
shoot me
way
a
for
message.
them?
Follow me on BC Serna on anything. On Instagram is like my main, you know, vessel. But
and you have a new program coming out.
I have like an online community cohort. So I've taken everything I talked about in the last hour and I put that into a program, into a space where the most incredible humans come together, and we do a 10-week program, and we talk about all these things, from God to plant medicine, to spirituality, to sex, to confidence, to social media, to abundance, like everything under the sun into one like place. And it's my favorite thing I get to do.
Yeah, awesome. So I'll put all of the show notes together that have that information. And then also I just want to shout out that you run the Love Club. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Inside of, it's like the very least what people should be doing is jumping in there, because then you get to kind of see.
Yeah, on my Instagram, I have like a broadcast channel. And when I first saw that, I was like, oh, this is kind of weird. I don't understand this thing. But by the grace of God, I have, you know, thousands of followers, which is great, and a way to storytell and communicate. But life is so boring on the mountaintop, and my whole life is just bringing people to the mountaintop. My whole life is like, yo, come this way, like come up this path, stop going up that path of like society and culture, and I'm going to teach you the ways, I'm going to show you the ways how to do it. And it's so boring. You talk to anyone who's a millionaire successful that's by themselves on their beach house somewhere, and it's like, this is really boring. No. And so my goal is to use my Instagram to help people sell their products, if they sell t-shirts or backpacks, or if they make content. And so I shout people out all the time. And yeah, it's
really like beautiful to see the connection in the community and how people get excited.
And I'm actually thinking this is something crazy. I haven't said this yet publicly or really said it anywhere. So 8 years ago, I did something called the Traveling Good. Did I say about this?
You just told me about it.
Yeah. So
and I was like, I'm going to follow you.
Yeah, I was living in LA. I was traveling the world, and I kept having people message me all the time. Like, I wish I lived in LA, and I wish I traveled the world so I can have purpose and community. And I'd always say community and purpose literally live in your backyard. I don't care if you live in Denver or Kentucky or Seattle, you have community there and you have purpose there. And so I wanted to prove it to them. So I was like, I want to go on a tour around the US and host events where you find community and purpose, all the nonprofits in your area. So I did that tour, and I went to 25 cities and threw 25 events for Party with a Purpose. And we did Random Acts of Kindness. It was like 8 or 9 years ago. And so now I'm working on getting another RV and doing another tour with Isa, she's a DJ, my kids, and then some other people who want to come on tour, do breathwork in cities, do ice baths, like whatever it is. My whole purpose is to empower people in their purpose. And so if I can equip people to be able to get on stage and speak, or run an ice bath in 25 cities, or paint a mural in 25 cities, then that is what I'm going to do. And so I want to get an RV and do that tour again. And
an army of people. I know when you told me about it on Zoom, I was like, I still have access to this 19-foot Winnebago. I'll be right behind you with all the ice baths.
I know.
There's so getting
because imagine like we did this past week, but we go to cities, we bring the LA and Austin and New York medicine, but Miami medicine, like what we get, we're so spoiled in those cities.
Yeah.
We have community, we have an event every night.
Yeah.
And then we bring it to the people and we bring the unity of our country together, because right now we're all on the defense of what we don't like. And when we're on the defense, we can't be on the offense of love, and love is offensive. And so while we're all fighting, putting out fires, throwing stones, there's animal shelters that are going unmet. There's homeless people that are going unmet. There's trees that are not being planted. And so if we can activate this union of like, guys, we need to start fighting evil, not with more evil, but with light and love and purpose, and be offensive.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what's birthing this reemergence of the Traveling Good 2.0 tour. But
Yeah, so cool. All right,
Yeah.
well, more to come on that.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm so stoked about that. Beautiful. Thank you for spending this time. And yeah, we'll link everything about you. And I'm so grateful to have met you and been connected and just spend a little time with you over the last couple of days. So
thank you. So can I say a prayer for everyone listening?
yeah.
Okay,
please,
cool.
please.
All right, everyone listening, just take 2 deep breaths. All right, so this prayer is to every single person that has this podcast going on in their car, at home, at work, at the gym. You are trying to better yourself. You are trying to lean deeper into this human experience, and you're trying to learn about how to be healthier, how to be more mindful, how to be more thoughtful. And so God, I pray that the person listening to this feels so much level of just peace flow over their body, and this frequency of this abundance, the seed, like them listening to this podcast is them planting a seed. And so I pray that God, you water the seed, you nourish the soil, and that them listening to this podcast, sooner rather than later, in a couple weeks, in a couple months, a fruit is gonna come from this seed, and they're gonna change somebody's life because of the investment they made in this hour on this podcast. And they're gonna change someone's life through a conversation, through a moment, through buying someone coffee, through calling their mom, through giving someone a compliment. And they're gonna go, thank you, God, for planting this seed, because it gave someone hope, it gave someone another day to carry on, it gave someone peace over their human experience. And so God, just bless this person that is listening to this and just trying to better their life so they can help their friends, their family, and strangers along the way. And thank you for Kristin for stewarding this ministry, this women's group. I mean, it's men, women, it's co-ed, and just her believing in her purpose big enough that she had to leave her fears at the door. She had to leave her doubts at the door. She had to leave her insecurities at the door. And then she entered into a home of purpose. And this home has thousands of people in it that are meeting and connecting and dancing together, all because she wanted to build a home where people feel like they all belong in their curiosity. And so it is. Amen.
Aho, aho.
Yay, thank you so much.